All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the stream. We got a good one today. We got some stuff to talk about. We had a nice little chat over some Vitalik Buterin drama last week, and this week we have an issue where there's a possible exploit on one of the contracts that uses Pendle. Not our contracts, but Penpie's contracts. So, welcome everybody. If you are in the stream, please say hi, and that'll show up here. And let's get right into it. So, Pendle says, after a thorough investigation, we can confirm that the funds on Pendle remain secure. However, we have identified a security compromise in Penpie, an independent protocol built on top of Pendle. As a precaution, we have temporarily paused all contracts and shall maintain close communication with the Penpie team to actively assist them in resolving the issue as swiftly as possible. All right. So Penpie is one of two protocols that are built on top of Pendle for a specific reason of boosting the APY. And so there's Penpie, and then there's Equilibria. Now, we are built on top of Pendle as well, but what we do is completely different. We're actually allowing borrowers to leverage Pendle pools, so you can actually have a leveraged position on Pendle. What Penpie and Equilibria did is it's not a leveraged position. It's just the same as if you had put money into Pendle, kind of. But they have a ton of Pendle tokens that are staked, and so they could boost the pool. So it's a way where if you didn't have any Pendle staked Pendle tokens of your own, and you couldn't boost your own pool up to an appropriate level, well, you could just join in the Penpie pool, and it was like a staking pool where they have tons, millions of dollars of Pendle tokens staked, and you could get the full boost. Yeah, so I was showing you guys yesterday in the Power Farm stream how, the difference between what we're using, like our Power Farms, for instance, are at about 10% source APY. Well, that 10% could be all the way up to 21% if we had fully boosted the pools. But we would need hundreds of millions of dollars of staked Pendle to be able to do that. And so that's what Penpie is, and that's what Equilibria is. They have got a bunch of staked Pendle, and so they're like, hey, we got a bunch of staked Pendle, so join our pool, and you will be able to earn boosted APY because we are boosting it with all this staked Pendle tokens. There's only one problem, and that one problem is that the Penpie contracts and the Equilibria contracts, they're not really that decentralized. So they're using proxy upgradable contracts, which means that the devs can rug them anytime that they want to. And really, this is the norm for most new so-called DeFi products where they have upgradable contracts. And so already, from the get-go, if you're using upgradable contracts, your security profile is not as good as it should be. And then second of all, the audits that they have are not very good ones. So Watchpug, Zokyo, these are not well-known audit teams. This is more like a stamp of approval rather than having a true expert that can actually help you. And that's like the difference between, your run-of-the-mill DeFi protocol that has the stamp of approval audits and something like our platform that has invested over $400,000 into not only formal audits, but also audit competitions with massive prize pools. So the difference here is like these audits here probably no more than $10,000 each. These are very cheap audits, and they're very low quality. They're more like a stamp of approval. And something like Code for Arena Code Arena is an industry leader. And this is also not just a formal audit. This is an audit competition where you had dozens of people competing over a prize pool of $200,000. Similar idea with Hats Finance as well. And then Amnesia was our formal audit. Plus, we have an active bug bounty of $100,000. So there's there's a huge difference in security profiles of Wise Lending compared to something like a Penpie. For instance. Also, in addition to all of our audits, which you can see here, we actually have live protection as well with Hypernative. So this is an addition, an additional tens of thousands of dollars that we're paying per year for live scanning protection. And this is, as good as audits are, people are still human. They're like, if something got through or if something was missed, that's where the live protection comes in. And so Hypernative is one of the big three companies that does this live protection service. That's why they're as expensive as they are, but they're also very good at what they do. So as far as, my funds, you can see I've got a lot of funds on this wallet. I have several other wallets as well that have money on Wise Lending, and I feel very comfortable because I know the level of safety is like as high as it can possibly be. So going back to this tweet, it says, after a thorough investigation. So I don't think that there's there's like Pendle is not responsible for taking care of Penpie. Like these are different teams. So they're like there might be a partnership there, but Penpie is not responsible for keeping tabs on Penpie. So what I would guess as far as what happened is they probably didn't get exploited, because it doesn't say anything about that. There's nothing about loss of funds. But what probably happened is a white hats attacker discovered a vulnerability and then reported it. And Pendle and Pendle probably investigated after somebody came forward and said, hey, there's a bug. And there's an exploit that can happen, and they investigated and they found out, yes, this is true. There is a way to exploit the Penpie contracts, and because of that, they paused all of the Pendle contracts currently. Now Pendle is fully decentralized and their pools are safe. So even if everything on Penpie got exploited, it wouldn't affect Pendle, except that the money would be, taken off of Pendle. But as far as like the security of Pendle's just fine. And they're also very decentralized and have much better quality audits. And they're not proxy upgradable contracts. They're decentralized contracts that cannot be upgraded. But there is this problem with Penpie, and so they didn't have to pause the Pendle contracts, or maybe when they're talking about we have temporarily paused all contracts, maybe they're even talking about Penpie. So maybe Penpie is made like by a team member on Pendle or something like that. But we'll just have to wait for more information. But the point is, there's a problem with Penpie, and so this is another testament to like the safety of what we're doing. We already looked at building on top of Penpie and building on top of Equilibria. Like, wouldn't it be nice if we could build on top of already boosted APY, right? Like, if we did that, then we would be building on top of a source APY that's 20% for USD farms instead of 10%, because they've got all those millions of dollars worth of staked Pendle tokens. But even though it was higher APY and it would be really, really nice, we decided not to because of these, security issues. Like, they're not fully decentralized. We don't really trust the current audit reports. And that's why we built on top of Pendle directly, even though it would have been nice to be able to get the boosted APY. And of course, we do have the mechanism where sometimes we charge a fee, and that fee gets converted into Pendle. So eventually we'll have a bunch of Pendle of our own, but that'll take some time for sure. So yeah, that's what's going on there. By the way, notice how Notice all these scammers in the chat. This really needs to be cleaned up by X. Like, look, this is obviously not the official Pendle account. Scam link, another different scam Pendle account, scam link, another Penpie scam account, scam link. This is just absolutely crazy that the majority of the replies are actually scam links, and the fact that these profiles are able to exist and we can't weed them out somehow is kind of ridiculous. But yeah, that's what's going on with us. All right. Hey, thanks for saying hi, guys. Who do we have in here? We got Harding Crew. We have Crypto Ingress. We have Harding Crew again, says hi. Christoph says hi. Tom Jr. says hi. Harding Crew says, do we have a roundabout timelines for any of the points? No, you never know when the season is going to end with the points. That's the way points work. So they're just something that you don't know when it's going to happen. And when it does happen, you'll be able to claim. And but you know, that's the whole point of points. If they didn't want to do points, if they wanted to tell you exactly how much money is going to be and how much you're going to be able to claim, then they wouldn't have done points. They would have done direct tokens. But they did points. So you know, a lot of people have differing opinions about the points meta. Some people like it, some people don't like it. Some people say destroyed, you know, the flywheel. At the end of the day, it's just extra APY with a question mark on it because you don't know when you're going to get it. But you know, that's why we try to keep the base APY up as high as possible for our pools. So bringing it back to Wise Lending, notice that you know, our USDC pool, pretty well optimized, 6% base APY. DAI pool, pretty well optimized. We got 6.71% base APY. Our USDT pool is only 3.81. So I want to optimize that right now. And so if I know if it's low borrow APY, that means that there's going to be an opportunity on the power farms. And look, yes, there is. Where the other USD power farms are 79% APY, 91% APY, this one's 140% APY. So there's definitely an opportunity here. I already have a position open though, so I'm going to switch to a different wallet. We'll go switch to this wallet. And we're going to go ahead and open up a USDT position. So I'm going to use 120 USDT. We're going to borrow it up. We're going to be paying 8% borrow APY. Wow, notice that the source APY is up to 12%. This was like 10% yesterday, and it was 7% the day before. So this source APY has gone up. The fact that it's gone up rapidly might mean that it might pull back a little bit too. So I wouldn't count on 12% base for the rest of the 89 days, but you know, might as well get it while the getting's good. So let's go ahead and open up this position. We're going to open up with 120 USDT. We're going to be borrowing 1,680 USDT, and then we're going to be earning 64% base APY. So let's go ahead and approve this farm. And we could even borrow this up to a higher APY, but this is all the USDT I have at the moment. So it's not prompting in my MetaMask wallet. Sometimes when you switch wallets real quick, it does that. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I was just too impatient. So let's go ahead and try this again. 120 max borrow. Let's go ahead and improve the farm, and then take some questions while we're approving. It says, "Hey Peter, would be nice if you could explain where power farms like Pendle are getting their revenue to pay their interest to users, including us. What's the difference between that and a lending platform?" Okay, so this is going to require another full video, which I'm happy to do this week. But I could also explain it on the stream as well. So, wow. Okay, my MetaMask is really being slow today. This is actually not a problem with Wise Lending. It's a problem with my MetaMask not prompting. So, I don't know if that's because I've got the Rabby wallet and the MetaMask wallet in my browser at the same time. Sometimes that causes problems, but I'll have to open up that position after the stream if one of you guys haven't already sapped up the available arbitrage there. Okay, so let's talk about Pendle. I need someplace to draw. I wonder this sketch pad will work. Pencil. Does this work? Okay, it does work. Okay, so Pendle, what Pendle does is it provides a service that allows users to long or short the yield on any yield-bearing token. So for this example, let's use staked Ethereum. All right. So STETH. Staked Ethereum. This is Lido, right? Lido staked Ethereum. So Lido Fi. So Lido Fi is 2.8% APR, right? So 2.8% APR, right? And you know, we all know where that comes from, right? So this is staked Ethereum. You're staking Ethereum. It's similar to Bitcoin mining, except instead of mining, you're staking. You're securing, you know, nodes. You're contributing to decentralization. You are helping confirm transactions. And for that, you get rewarded in Ethereum, just like Bitcoin miners get rewarded in Bitcoin. So that's where that 2.8% is coming from. Now Pendle will take that Lido pool and they will augment the APY. So here's Pendle, right? Pendle. So Pendle will take those tokens, those staked ETH tokens, and what they're going to do is they're going to split it into two types of tokens. So now instead of staked ETH, there's going to be PT, staked ETH, and there's going to be there's going to be there's going to be YT, staked ETH, all right? PT and YT, principal token and yield token. So the staked Ethereum, Pendle is splitting that into two types of tokens, principal token and yield token. And there's going to be a duration for the pool. All right, we'll say 400 days. 400 days. All right, so the principal token is redeemable for, so one principal token is redeemable for one Lido staked ETH at the end of 400 days, understand? And the yield token represents that 2.8% APY that is being earned over these 400 days. So what that means is it is buying the principal tokens here before the 400 days has happened is going to be cheaper than staked ETH. It's going to be cheaper by the amounts that the yield token value is. So the yield token represents all the yield that is earned over these 400 days. And the principal token represents the principal that is redeemable for the underlying. So the yield token is only the yield, and the principal token is only the principal. So the principal token is cheaper up here, but it becomes more valuable and more valuable and more valuable until at the end of 400 days, it can be redeemed 1-to-1 for that underlying staked ETH. The yield token is the most expensive here because it represents the yield over all 400 days, and then the value trends to 0, and at the end of 400 days, the yield token value is 0, and the principal token value is redeemable 1-to-1 for the underlying staked ETH. So what this allows people to do is it allows people to long or short the yield. Because remember, 2.8% base APY, right? Let's say I think that's going to go up. You know, a few months ago, this was 5% APY. So maybe I think that this is, the pendulum is going to swing the other way. And I think that this is going to be 3.5% APY, within a year. Well, then I would buy the yield tokens and yield tokens represent 0 principal, only the yield. I would buy the yield tokens and one of two things would happen. Either the yield goes up and then my principal goes up. Maybe I bought $1,000 worth of yield tokens. Well, if the yield goes to 3% plus, then that $1,000 is going to be worth multiple thousands of dollars because my principal, like the yield just went up, which means the value of the yield token just went up. Or the other thing that can happen is it stays the same at 2.8, and then my $1,000 would basically stay the same, like it's not getting any more valuable. Or let's say the yield goes down to 1.9%, then the value of my $1,000 could go down because the yield went down. So that's the risky thing to do on Pendle. That would be longing the yield. So, but if you think it's a good project, if you think the yield is going to go up, then that's a way to basically long the yield without taking much risk. Because the worst thing that can happen is, you get less APY than you'd hoped for. Principal tokens, if you buy those, you are buying them at a discount to the underlying asset, and all you have to do is wait until maturity, or not even till maturity. They will become more valuable over time. And so this would be a way, like if you think, oh, this yield is going to go down to 1%, well, you can lock in that 2.8% yield by buying principal tokens. So by buying principal tokens, you've essentially locked in that yield for 400 days, and you could buy as much at a discount that you want. So what you could do is you could be buying staked ETH tokens that are worth 1 ETH for 0.8 ETH or 0.7 ETH, and you can buy as many of them as you want, and you can redeem them for 1 ETH each at the end of the 400 days. So this is the service that Pendle provides, and it can do it for any token that generates yield, not just staked Ethereum. It can do it for yield-bearing stable coins, yield-bearing Bitcoin, things. Any token that generates yield, Pendle can provide this service for. And every time people are buying principal tokens, selling principal tokens, buying yield tokens, selling yield tokens, they are creating fees, because Pendle does have fees. And those fees are recycled back to the users of the LP. And so this is why, you remember, Lido staked ETH, 2.8% APY. However, if you go on Pendle and put your ETH in the ST-ETH Pendle pool, you're going to be getting 4% APY. Currently, it all just depends. A few months ago, it was like 3.5% APY on Lido, and it was like 9% APY on Pendle. So you can participate not in the PT and the YT. You can actually participate in the LP, the liquidity pool, just straight up with Ethereum. Put Ethereum in the liquidity pool, it gets converted into this stuff, and you can be earning 4% APY, which is like 25% to 30% more than you can get just putting your money on Lido. So this is a great service, don't you think? Like, isn't it better to get 30% more yield by just putting your ETH in Pendle instead of putting your ETH on Lido? And this is all a very safe system as well. There's nothing that can really happen besides Lido staked ETH depegging. And if Lido staked ETH depegs, well, that's Lido's fault. That wouldn't be Pendle's fault. So Pendle just provides this decentralized service that allows people to long and short the yield. And that creates additional fees, which add this additional layer of yield on top of the underlying assets. And so this is why every token that generates yield wants to be on Pendle. This is why Pendle has $7 billion on it and has gotten $7 billion within the last year, when all other DeFi protocols struggled to get that. We haven't seen somebody getting billions of dollars on their protocol, within a matter of 6 months or so. We haven't seen that since DeFi summer in, 2021 or 2020, whenever that was. We haven't seen something this breakthrough and this revolutionary until now with Pendle. So Pendle has $7 billion on it. And Pendle, so for DeFi tokens that have yield, Pendle is more important. Getting listed on Pendle is more important than getting listed on Binance Exchange. It is more important for DeFi projects to get their yield-bearing tokens on Pendle than it is to get listed on Binance. Think about that. Like how instrumental Binance is. The first thing anybody asks in a new DeFi project, when are you getting listed on Binance? When Binance? Pendle is more important to DeFi projects now, just because of the fact that they will 100% augment yield. You get listed on Binance, sure, it's a good sign. It's probably going to pump the token. blah, blah. But Pendle is guaranteed extra yield just because of the nature of how it works. So this is Pendle, but Pendle cannot offer leverage into their LPs. You can just, if you have ETH, you can put it in, Lido, earn 2.8. You can put it in Pendle, and in the Lido pool on Pendle, you can earn 4%. Or you could take it to Wise Lending, and you can open up a power farm where, look, I only am using 0.15 ETH for this power farm, but yet my position size is 2 ETH. So I'm actually leveraging, and I'm earning 60% APY instead of 4% APY. So that is the value that Pendle brings. So this is very important to understand because it's real yield. This is not something that's going to fade away. Yes, Pendle does have their own token. Yes, they do boost the APYs. They have this mechanism where you stake Pendle, and like they have this whole thing. They have integrated their token, but the important part about this whole concept is even if Pendle's token was worth 0, providing this service right here is already providing more value than what the underlying is. So they would still be able to provide higher APY than the underlying asset, even if their token was worth 0. And so this is what most people don't understand about Pendle. They just think Pendle is another like Ponzi scheme or something like that. No, it's not a Ponzi scheme, like not even close. They're providing a real service that no one else is providing as of yet. They created an additional market. They're tokenizing the yields of yield-bearing tokens and allowing people to transact off of that, and then they're using the fees created by that volume to augment the underlying yield. So it's very, very cool, very important. Hello, Peter. This is not financial advice question for sure, but I wonder what you would do if you have some Wise stakes coming to an end soon. Read the following message. A, wait until the fundraising campaign kind of completes and let you make 1 million Wise token purchase, which will impact positively its price. Then close the stakes and sell for ETH. Or as soon as the stakes matures, we close them, swap the tokens for ETH, and use that ETH either to deposit in the protocol. A chance to do so. Okay, I understand what you're asking here. So yes, yeah, like you said, not financial advice. What I would do is I would either hold on to the Wise or stake it for a lesser amount of time because we haven't had okay, so let's look at Pendle price. Pendle token, whoops, Pendle, let me try this again. Pendle token price. Okay, Pendle token price. Here we go. All right, so let's look at Pendle over a period of their entire inception. So this is the Pendle token, and this is a good like this is what a good project looks like. All right, so they have their launch, they have a pump, and then it kind of slowly fades off, and this is until they find their product market fit. And once they find their product market fit, they start to go up back. Once again, they reach their all-time high, they break their all-time high, and then they have another cycle of great another bull market for their token. So for the Wise token, we've had our all-time high back in January 2020, and then we've been slowly, trying to find our product market fit since then. Now, we haven't had a product, so we had just recently had a product 2 months ago, so, we haven't had much time to be able to find our product market fits, but we will eventually. So we are in this phase right here. And with the launch of Wise Lending, we're waiting for Wise Lending to gain some traction. Once it gains some traction, that's when we start to see this type of thing, and then go to our previous all-time highs, and then beyond. So this is where we are right now. And I'm not saying that this is programmed to happen or guaranteed to happen. It sure would be easy to happen just because of the nature of our tokenomics. So if we gain any traction on Wise lending at all, this will happen. But what I'm basically saying is Wise hasn't had its second cycle yet. So if you sell now or if you swap to ETH now, yeah, we have got great things to do with that ETH on Wise lending, but you might be missing out on the second cycle because, you know, we just launched Wise lending, and right now we're raising $10 million for the promotion and the launch of Wise lending. And so that's going to produce some results. So if you sell Wise now, you might be missing out on, you know, whatever's to come. And, you know, we're all working really hard to find that product market fit and start seeing that trickle of onboarding people start to become like a fire hose of people coming to our protocol. And, you know, eventually we will find it. Eventually, you know, we'll reach that equilibrium, and then we're gonna, we're gonna be successful. But we're still grinding. We're still grinding to that point. So hopefully that answers your question. All right. Hey guys, I'm bullish on Wise. Hey, thank you, KY Effect. Thanks for joining the stream. All right, so we are going to wrap it up there for now, guys. I do want to do a dedicated video on Pendle. So if I have time, I will do that this week, or maybe this weekend if I'm not able to squeeze it in on one of the weekdays. But hopefully that was able to show you like where the yield on Pendle comes from. And yeah, so this is really good stuff. So if you understand this, you're already ahead of the curve, and these are really good things to know. But thank you so much for coming out to the stream, guys. Stay safe out there. Have a good one, and we will see you in the next stream tomorrow. Bye-bye now.